Hello and happy Tuesday morning. I hope each of you are doing well and had a great holiday yesterday for Martin Luther King Day. And how appropriate that we're celebrating Martin Luther King at the time that we are learning about leadership, as he is one of the most influential leaders of our times. I think there are so many of his quotes that really reflect and are appropriate for us in the nursing profession. And so let me read you a couple of those, and I want you to kind of think through how these reflect to your work in nursing and your own personal leadership abilities and philosophies. So I think probably the one that stands out the most to me is the quote that says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the times of challenge and controversy." Others, "The time is always right to do what is right." And as a leader, we see that dilemma in all avenues of leadership in the world today. What is ethical? What is right? Another one of the quotes that I really find endearing and really representative of what we should be in nursing is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So I think those really speak to what we do as nurses and where we are in leadership as far as leading the community, leading our patients, leading our fellow peers, our colleagues in the nursing profession. So I know that each of you are now working on your leadership papers where you're focusing on your own leadership skills, what your abilities are, areas that you may not be as strong. As you write these, I want you to consider that all the great leaders, every leader, good or bad, has strengths and weaknesses. There are things that we do well and that come easy to us. There are things that we struggle at. Myself, I find that relationship building, communication, those are some of my strengths that I have. And then there are deficits where I have a tendency not to like to delegate. I tend to avoid conflict with peers if I have that. And so I think we all have areas that we excel in and some that we don't. There is a book out there called Strengths-Based Leadership that if you've not read, I think would be an excellent addition to your repertoire of reading for your BSN program. But with this book comes an access code. Be sure to buy the book with the access code if you're going to spend the money. And it gives you the ability to do a self-assessment of the different characteristics and strengths that leaders have. And it's really interesting because they'll rank order them for you. I think with the book and access code, maybe you get the top 10 for free. And if you want the rest of the rankings, then you can pay for that. And we can talk a little bit more about that later, but I do think that's something to think about if you are interested in leadership. And many of you in the discussion forum said that you're hoping that this program, the RN to BSN program, and specifically this course, are going to help you as you move into leadership roles and prepare you for that. So definitely a recommendation of mine. It's an easy read. It's not difficult at all, but very focused on what those strengths are. And really what that book is about being a leader based on your strengths and realizing what your weaknesses are and putting people around you that have strengths in those areas that you are weak in. For example, in that one, all of my top 4 strengths were in relationship building, which is interesting because there are other categories. And I may do a presentation for that just to kind of give you some more ideas in case some of you do pick up that book. But that's just some food for thought. And, a lot of these things you're going to know. You know what you're good at. You know what's easy. You know what feels natural. You know the discomfort of areas that you're not as strong in. And so some of this may be things you already know, but some provide a little bit more insight into that. And also the book tells you how to really use those skills and strengths to your best advantage, because anything that is a strength can also be a weakness in certain ways if we overuse that strength or if we use it inappropriately. So just food for thought for today. I know that you wanted some extra reading to do. Everybody wants extra reading, right? But coming off of that, your discussion forums were fantastic. It was so fun getting to know you guys through that. Oh my gosh, we have babies, we have weddings, we have engagements, we have people buying homes, we have people renovating homes. It was fun to learn about your family, your babies, your fur babies. I love that part. The only thing that can make it better is if you put a picture with everybody so that I can start learning some faces and names. That would be great, because I feel like sometimes the online environment feels a little distant, and we don't want it to feel that way. We want you to feel like that you're getting the same experience as if you were face to face with us in the classroom. I found it fascinating, the amount of experiences that we have. We have people from all over the state. We have people with 1 year of nursing experience, all the way to a whole career of nursing experience. People that say they don't have leadership experiences, but I disagree. I feel like every nurse is a leader from the moment you walk on the floor. And so we'll get into that a little bit more, but that's just a Susan philosophy for you for today. But all the way to people who are in leadership roles or recognize that they are serving as leaders, even if it's an unofficial title. So I'm really, really excited about this course, because we're going to have this breadth of experience and insights that you guys are going to bring, and I am certain that I'm going to learn as much from you as that you will learn from me and from your peers. So looking forward to an amazing semester. Just as a note, get all my stuff here to make sure I don't forget to tell you anything. Just as a note, when I am grading the discussion forums, they are graded in what's called a summation format. So when I start grading, I start reading at the beginning of the forums, and I grade as I go. So you might come on, and out of that 50 points, you may see, well, I only have a 20. Well, don't panic. Don't send an alarm button to me. Just know that when I finish grading the discussion forums and all the grades are final, then I will send you a video or an email to say, guess what, guys? I'm done grading. Now you can look at your final grade. Because if I've only read one of your posts, you may only have a 10 or a 20 or a 30, depending on the weight of that rubric. So I want you just to kind of keep in mind, not to panic if you see a low grade. Make sure that I have sent out something to say, grades are final, I'm done. Sometimes depending on how the first of my week goes, how many meetings I have, I can get those done early in the week. Sometimes they take a little longer because we do have 2 sections. So we have over 50 people in this course section. So I just wanted to let you know with that. As far as the grades, you guys did fantastic. I was really impressed with your ability to do discussion forums. You were well trained in your first semester of your program, because all of you included references. They were scholarly citations. If you're welcome to use your textbook as well, but be sure to pull something from the literature outside of what your assigned readings are. You guys did great with that. I felt like that you were very spot on about your responses to each other, where it wasn't just like, yes, I agree, end of discussion, because that doesn't add anything. But many of you brought up different points. You talked about your experiences and why you agreed or disagreed with that. Many of you were able to network through that introduction discussion forum, which I think is one of the best outcomes that you can have from this program, because networking is huge in nursing and huge in your career path. So you guys did a really good job with all of those things. Just be sure that on the discussion forums, like if you do see your grade and you're thinking, well, why is it lower? Why is it not as high as I think it should be? So one, make sure you answer all the questions. That's really the key, is I want you to think. So for example, on this one, you had to pick one of the 4 areas of self-awareness, social awareness, relationship building, or management skills, and to define you personally what you think is most important based on the literature, based on your experiences and all those pieces. There's no right or wrong. I mean, there's all those things are valuable, and you're rarely going to find a leader that excels in all 4 of those. But we each have our own value system. We each have our own experiences that make us, believe that one is greater than the other. So as long as you support that, if you provide rationale, then there's no right or wrong answer. We want you to think, sounds like a fun thing to do, right? But we want you to think, to spend some time thinking about these things and providing that information out. However, if you don't answer the question, it's hard for me to give you the points. So food for thought on that. The other piece being make sure you respond to 2 people. If you don't respond to 2 people, you're not going to get your full points. So you really have to make sure that you follow through with all of the information. Keep in mind that your discussion forum points are worth 50 total. And so you'll be able to kind of equate that out as need be. So as I was reading these, I thought it was really interesting because a tremendous amount of you, and I didn't mark it down statistically. This is just an observation. And however, I think it would be really interesting to put in a statistics format and measure out to see if there are correlations. But it appeared that more people that worked in the emergency department felt that self-awareness was the strongest of those skills. While you saw OB and PEDS tend to go relationship management or relationship skills, that doesn't necessarily mean all of you did, but there was some themes that seemed to come out of this discussion forum. We had a couple of OR people that identified social awareness, which makes sense. You're working strongly within a team. Everybody's relying on each other. And then we had quite a few, or several ICU and our telemetry units that identified the management skills. Now, that's not consistent for everyone, but it's just kind of an observation I made as I went through, and I thought, oh, well, seems like a lot of our emergency departments are identifying self-awareness. So as you think through that, there may be reasons. I think it also would be interesting, in my spare time, which I have none, but if I had extra time to put this in SPSS or in a statistical format to see if your years of experience as a nurse also correlates with these, because I do think that as a younger nurse, as a newer nurse, I probably leaned more to a few of the other skills. Whereas now, that may have switched. I think I probably started out feeling like management skills were most important. And as I have grown and changed roles, I would say that that relationship management piece, to me, is the most important. Now, is that right or wrong? No, there's no right or wrong. Everybody has their opinion and their reasons for believing these things. However, it may be that I've been in academics so long that relationship management actually is a critical piece of the academic model. Hard to say, but out of the responses, we had the highest number of responses were for relationship management, followed by self-awareness, then management skills, and then social awareness. So it's kind of interesting that those played out that way. So just some thoughts for you as you move forward in the semester. Some of you were already pulling in leadership styles such as authentic leadership. I had several people talk about service leadership. So those are things we're going to get into more depth as we go through the semester. This week is about evaluating yourself. There's some readings for you to do. Please look through those. And then the article, the paper that you're writing, I want it to be a formal paper. You can take the questions in the application activity and make those into headers if you choose. That way that you have a heading that says, that you're going to address a certain area. And that way you can make sure that you do address all the questions so that you can get your points. It's helpful for your faculty members if you do have headings. That way they don't have to hunt for your answer and say, well, did they answer this or did they not? And kind of make their own subjective guess on whether you did that or not. So sometimes those headings are helpful to make sure that you fully address each point that we are asking for. Another piece of that being that the rubric says to use third person. If you're using third person, that's fine. I find that on this assignment that third person piece is a little difficult to do because you're really analyzing yourself. So it's hard not to say I. And if you're talking about your own experiences, it is really hard to explain your experiences from your perspective without using I in your sentences. So it's fine if you use that. I'm not going to take off for it, but be sensitive that the APA formatting encourages you to stay away from I. However, in the last 5 to 6 years probably, scholarly journals have encouraged more of that first person dialogue in journal articles, which we never saw before. So some of that, what you're seeing is APA pieces and some is the scholarly piece. But you're fine to use it if you choose to. That's up to you. Thank you for sending in your big leadership paper topics. I'm enjoying seeing what you're interested in and look forward to reading those. I did have a question about the page limit. The page limit does not include your title page or your reference page, so just keep that in mind. If you have other questions, post them on Ask the Instructor. And meanwhile, have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.